Here's the problem with most content out there. It's boring. Like, please make it stop boring. You've seen it. Someone kicks off their podcast with, "Hey guys, thanks for tuning in," and instantly you're reaching for the skip button. Or you're in a workshop where the first 10 minutes feel like a hostage situation. Meanwhile, people like Gary Vee, Codie Sanchez, Alex Hormozi, they can talk about trash, literally trash businesses, and still have you hanging on every word. It's not luck, and it's definitely not random. They're using a simple framework that makes their message impossible to ignore. And here's the wild part. You don't have to be famous, loud, or even naturally entertaining to use it. Once you know the structure, you can plug it into your podcast, your workshop, your video, whatever. And people will finally pay attention and actually take action. So stick around, because I'm about to show you the hook, story, offer framework. The one thing separating content that gets ignored from content that converts.
Welcome to the Digital Advisor Weekly Broadcast. Looking to boost your business with the latest trends, innovative tech, and must-have resources? Join us to discover how to successfully scale your practice and automate the process. Here to guide you is your host, the dynamic leader of Advisor Marketing Hub and managing partner at American Financial, Rob Souza.
Hey everyone, Rob Souza here again for another episode of the Digital Advisor Weekly, the show where we cut through all the marketing fluff and noise and try and give you real strategies that actually can move the needle. And today, we're talking about a framework that basically can make the difference between people binging your content versus people forgetting your content. Most of the time, it's because they can't even get past the first sentence, but they won't remember you. All right, let's be real. We're in an attention-grabbing economy, which is a fancy way of saying everyone's brain is so fried trying to do more than we've ever done in the history of America that most people can't refrain from looking at their phones, even on like a dinner date. Have you ever been at a restaurant, walked in and seen an entire family looking down at their phones instead of talking to each other? It's crazy. Microsoft even ran a study on this. Goldfish have a 9-second attention span. Us humans, yeah, we've dropped to 8 seconds. So congratulations, you and I are officially getting outperformed by a pet that swims in circles all day. And hear this, most content, I'm telling you, it doesn't stand a chance. If you're getting ones and zeros on plays or views or likes, it's time to change it up. So we're trying to help give you a framework that can help you spice up your content and increase the traffic to whether it's your social workshops, masterclasses, or even asking your boss a favor. So this study about goldfish doesn't mean that people are dumb, but it is the way that we are presenting ourselves, and we have a shorter amount of time to deliver a stronger message. And it's important that we're intentful. So don't be painfully forgettable. Think through how you're going to approach inspiring people to change your behavior. You could have the best idea in the world, but if you don't structure it right, your audience will bail before I'll refrain from that one so I don't get in trouble. But how many times have you been on a Zoom call where your employer wants everybody to get together and have a staff meeting? And by the end of the 45-minute Zoom call, you realize, man, that could have been done in an email in a single paragraph. That's the way people feel in this generation and in this day and age. That's why you need a hook, story, and offer. And it's like a cheat code for getting people to actually pay attention and take action. So let's break it down real quick. The hook, that's the pattern interrupt. It's what makes people stop mid-scroll. Wait, what? And they want to lean in. And then the next moment's important. Like, for instance, if somebody's running a video reel on tax changes, don't put in your first line, check out the updated 2025 tax code changes. No, try something a little more entertaining. Like, have you seen the hidden tax code changes that were snuck into the last bill that are going to cost you thousands of dollars? Okay, so being overly dramatic, but I think you get the point. Okay, we call it edutainment. You have to grab people's attention by making it interesting. Part two, the story. The story is where you stop being a random talking head and start being someone that people can relate to, someone that they feel like they can trust. Tell a story that people can relate to. People do this all the time. Oh, did you hear about what happened to me this weekend? When you come into work, people do that. And then you tell a similar story. Oh, yeah, that happened to me. That's the way natural human behavior works. In regards to our tax code change piece of content, you can actually put up visuals of politicians making and tell a story about politicians making last minute shady backroom deals that get tax code changed very last minute, and then it's published and the public doesn't know about it. Why? Because one congressman was doing a favor for another congressman. Much more interesting than just saying, here's a bullet point list of all the tax code changes in 2025 and how it may affect your life. People don't want a lecture. They want to be invited into a story. And then number three, the offer. That's where you stop friend zoning your audience. Be bold. If you offend somebody and let them walk away, because everybody left standing is going to lean in and love you. Give them something to love by having an opinion. We're done with the woke, hopefully, season, and you can start being proud to have an opinion about something that matters to you and asking people to join you and take action. But most important, make sure that when you're asking people to take action, always offer significantly more than what you're asking. It's a pet peeve of mine in our company. If you're asking me for a favor, you better come with a solution that's going to be beneficial to me if you're asking me a favor. Again, human nature, human behavior. This isn't complicated stuff. And the beautiful thing is this isn't just for advertising. This is for anything in your life. It works everywhere. Podcasts, your broadcasts, YouTube videos, video reels, masterclass, even in real life, when you're talking to people and trying to negotiate action. Even that awkward pitch where you have to go into your boss and ask for that week-long vacation. You can enhance your success by making sure you understand the value that you're offering in exchange for the request. All right, let's take a look at how the pros do it. First, let's start with Codie Sanchez, which we referenced earlier, right? Literally can make laundromats, owning a laundromat, sound sexy. Why? Because she hooks you in with headlines like, "This boring business makes millions." Then she tells you a story about buying one, and suddenly you're invested in coin-operated washers like it's the next biggest trend. How about Alex Hormozi? Doesn't just sell a book. He starts with a bold hook like, "Here's why your offer sucks." Now, I lean into that. And yeah, it may offend some people. Who cares? Then he tells a story of losing money and then figuring it out. And finally, stacks so much value into his offer that you feel stupid for saying no. All right, my favorite, best for last, Gary Vee keeps it blunt all the time. And I love it. It gives me courage just listening to him. And he always hooks you with one-liners. He tells a story about selling wine in his dad's liquor store Then he'll hit you with an offer that's basically join the tribe or get left behind. And all of a sudden, you're buying trading cards from Gary Vee and you don't know why, and you're having to explain it to your wife. I'm telling you, this stuff works for a reason. It's a pattern, and you can see it from all the best creators, different personalities, different audiences, same exact framework. So why does this matter? Because without it, your content is just background noise, like an elevator music that people tolerate but don't actually ever listen to. And with it, with the structure, you will get attention. And you can work on it and hone it in and improve it, and you'll see it in the analytics, you'll see it in the numbers. Most importantly, you will start a conversation. And that's what you're looking for.
Microsoft says humans now have an 8-second attention span. Goldfish, 9. Yeah, we're losing to sushi appetizers. Buddy here is basically out-focusing me. At least he remembers where he just swam. That's the point. Content dies if it's forgettable. Genius or not, if you don't hook me, tell a story, and give me something to do, I'm gone. Gone quicker than a bad Zoom call. So yeah, hook, story, offer. It's not just marketing, it's survival. Because if you can't beat a goldfish in holding attention, maybe it's time to switch careers.
If I can hold your attention, your content should too.
So let's take a little bit deeper dive into that, the framework that we've been talking about. And first, of course, the hook. The first part of the framework. Think of it like it's your headline. It's the first impression, right? And it's the piece that makes people stop and pay attention and want to hear what you have to say. Have you ever walked into a room with a supervisor and you're like, hey, can I talk to you about next week? And they're like, all right, what do you need? That's not the reaction you want. You want to walk in and start with the value you bring. Like, hey, I have an idea about next week. I was thinking about taking a vacation, and I was thinking about, would you let me work all the way through the weekend and do my whole week's worth of work before I even leave on vacation? Okay, so one is way more interesting to consider than the other one. If you don't capture their attention, they will not listen. The rest of your message doesn't matter what the rest of your message is, because nobody will hear it. Gary Vee's famous for dropping one-liners, bold one-liners, and it always makes you curious and makes you lean in. Codie Sanchez takes an opposite approach using curiosity lines like, this boring business makes millions. What boring business is he talking about? And how in the world does it make millions? Both are different styles, but the principle's the same. The hook earns the attention, but step 2, the story is what builds the connection. Again, we go back to relatable stories, so I won't beat a dead horse. This is where you shift from simply being noticed to building trust, connection, and relatability. So the story needs to be dramatic. Has anybody ever experienced somebody trying to tell you a story and they're 2 minutes in and your mind is like wandering into different places because their story is just like, I hope they hurry up and finish this story. Don't be that person. It needs to also feel real. So make sure you're sharing stories that are rooted in reality. Codie Sanchez doesn't only claim that laundromats are profitable. She shares her experience by buying one and showing you, and then telling us stories about what it's like to own one. Alex Hormozi doesn't just say he built a business empire. He walks people through his journey from being broke to scaling to hundreds of millions of dollars. That's a journey people want to be a part of and relate to. Stories work because they make your audience feel like they're on the journey with you, or at least want to be on the journey with you. So that's where trust is built. It's up to you to tell the story. And part 3, the final piece, icing on the cake, is the offer. And here's where you're driving action. If you've done the other 2 parts correctly, then The offer becomes, if the offer causes them to take action, you did the 2 previous steps correctly. You have to determine where the framework went wrong. But this is where most people fall short, and they think it's about pitching their product or service, or, yeah, sign up for a phone call with me, schedule an appointment, download my white paper. Well, if nobody's taking you up on that offer, that's because you didn't do the first 2 steps correctly. If you set it up correctly, people will take action. The offer is about how you package value that feels irresistible, where there's FOMO, fear of missing out, boiling up in them. It's the outcome and the transformation it represents. It makes people want to bookmark you, subscribe, follow you, because they want to learn more about this story you've told, and you're giving them a call to action where the value they get is significantly more than what you're asking of them. And that's why Alex Hormozi doesn't simply sell a book. He sells a playbook with tools, templates, strategies. It feels like the whole package, and you feel like you're going to miss out if you don't participate. It's what makes it compelling. So hook captures attention, story builds connection, and the offer drives conversion. That's just touching the surface, guys, because on Friday, we're going to take a deep dive into actual posts. I want you to send me actual posts that we can reconstruct with a proper framework so that we can build them out and show you in real time how we can apply, whatever the word is, to your actual content so that you can walk away with an actual piece of content you can use. And then we can't wait for you to send us the results of how it went when you publish it. And when you look at platforms like TikTok and Instagram, those 2 platforms are built with an algorithm that's looking for this framework, and you don't have to have any subscribers. And if you hit the framework correctly and offer enough value, you could go viral with 0 followers on those 2 platforms, because that's the way the algorithm's built. All right. So I know I've been going through quickly. Oh, I figured there would be a question. Brad from Fresno. How do I know if my hook is strong enough to actually stop someone from scrolling? Good question, Brad. And I don't mean to be cheeky, but if they stop scrolling, test it. If you don't get enough people to stop scrolling, switch it up, try it again. Because somebody who missed it on Monday may see it on Friday. There are different people online at different times during the week. Take the same post and do it 3 ways and see which one gets the most views, and that starts to train you. You're all financial advisors, most of you here. Follow the patterns. Study the numbers. You do it for a living. Why wouldn't you do it for marketing, which is free advertising? Know your analytics. Implement, Garth Hassel. Yes. And implement. Make sure you implement. Don't keep putting out famous quotes and, happy Valentine's Day with a heart in your logo. I mean, that stuff, okay, it's great, but it's not the framework that is going to help you become more familiar, known, and trusted as the voice of your industry, or whatever it is that you are posting content about. All right. We answered that question for Brad. If there are any other questions, you can throw them up. Otherwise, let's go to the next video.
Why does TSA feel like they're training us for the Hunger Games? Shoes off, laptops out, liquids in a bag. What's next? Blood samples.
Welcome to content creation. TSA is your audience.
What the hell are you talking about?
Look, Hook is the metal detector. If you don't set it off, nobody notices you. Story is the X-ray. People need to see what's inside, not just the suitcase.
And the offer?
The offer is when TSA is finally waving you through so you can sprint to Starbucks before boarding.
So you're saying bad content is basically a guy who left a water bottle in the bag?
Exactly. Forgotten, delayed, probably on a no-fly list.
I think I am beginning to understand what you mean.
Remember, hook, story, offer. Otherwise, your content is stuck at security while the competition was already boarding.
If one thing you walk away from with this video, I hope it will be clearly hook, story, offer. Because I've said it probably like 15, 20 times in this video. Hook, story, offer. And you can share it with the next person who needs your help, who they're trying to do marketing as well. Share it with a business partner because it makes a difference. And then study the analytics and learn from the results and adapt. Just like you ask your clients to do when you do a financial plan and you show them that they're off track. It's because you studied the analytics. So don't be a hypocrite. Do it in your marketing like you do it for your clients. Or I'd even go as far as questioning your ability to do the analytics for me if I were to hire you. So be as good in your marketing as you are in your financial planning, and you'll find that you'll take the burden of having to do advertising because you'll get free advertising through viral videos that you can put online. All right. Whether you are doing podcasts, workshops, live streams, or I think most importantly, workshops and masterclasses, you can call them whatever you want. Most people call them webinars, and I can't stand webinars, so I try and call them something other than webinars. The skeleton framework's the same. It can be applied anywhere. So let's run through a couple quick examples as we are okay. We've got just a few minutes. So if you're doing podcasts, your hook is the opener. And we did that. It's that don't introduce yourself. Don't do housekeeping, whatever it is in podcasts that you do. Get right into something that is a power statement that stops everybody in the room. The most famous one I remember is a guy who did a TED Talk, and he walked out on the stage, pulled out a cigarette, put it in his mouth, and then took a lighter, and he went to go light it, and it wouldn't light, wouldn't light. Now, it had nothing to do, actually, he did turn it into a hook, but the whole idea was he was just trying to stop and get everybody's attention in the room because everybody's thinking the same thing. Wait, you can't smoke a cigarette in here. And that wasn't his intention. His intention was to get your attention. So it's important that first liner, the sole intent is to get people to sit up and pay attention. And the story, moving into part 2, is that's the meat and potatoes, and you really need to dig deep. Storytelling is the currency, I think, for success, because everywhere you go, you want a new friend. If you're single and you want a date, if you want a job, if you want a client, you have to learn how to be a great storyteller so that people always, it's that one guy in the room and everybody's kind of crowded around and they're all laughing. That guy in high school that everybody's at his lunch table because he's telling stories and joking around and he's entertaining. She's entertaining. Yeah, that's the person you want to be. And if it takes going and taking a speaking class or getting a speaking coach, I encourage you to do that. But it's all based on telling good, relatable stories that are entertaining. And you'll make people remember you. It's that when you go home, if you're married and your spouse says, "How was the night?" Oh, and the first thing you you go and tell the most interesting thing that you experienced that night. And it's usually a story about someone. And it's not always funny. Sometimes it's really emotionally impactful. Like somebody just told me that their daughter has leukemia, and after 2 years of living in hotel rooms, yesterday he was told is cancer free. And he tells his story and his journey and how hard it was for his family. That's all I could remember the whole night long. I don't even remember what the meeting was about. But that's the power of storytelling. All right, workshops. Adam, yeah, I missed Adam's question. If hook, story, offer works everywhere, do I really need to use it differently for podcasts, lives, and masterclasses? Yes, because it's about how compact. It's about time. It's about how much time you have to deliver each of these elements of the framework. If it's a 30-second video, you only have like 5 seconds. If it's an email, you have about 6 words. So yes, the format is different. Workshops, this is my favorite because it's done wrong 90% of the time. But workshops are kind of like group therapy. You never know what you're going to get in the room, and you got to deal with it live in real time. But you got to hook people with a bold statement or question that shakes them up. Earlier, I gave the example of, do you know the hidden tax code changes that cost you thousands of dollars? That's a bold statement. Right. Okay, so that's a good opener. No, I don't. What are they? Okay, well, that's what I'm going to tell you a story about. I'm going to tell you the story of how those changes got manipulated into that was never intended to be part of the legislation, but backroom deals snuck it in there in this omnibus bill. And you tell the story and people remember it because you told it in story format, not in bullet point format. Because everyone remembers stories, especially if you can leave them either laughing or feeling fuzzy good about some inspiring story that you told, like a TED Talk. If you need help with the middle part of telling stories, then watch TED Talks, because they're the best at helping train you on what to do and what not to do. Okay, broadcasts and lives. So attention spans here are shorter than TikTok or a TikTok dance back in the day. What did they call it? Oh, can't remember. I just remember my kids doing all these dances and putting their phone up on trees. And I'm glad it's TikTok today, not Musical.ly. That's what it was. Thank you for the heads up there. But this is where you have to be a little faster. Notice even I talk a little bit fast in live streams, because if you lose people's attention, they go away, they click away, you won't get them back. It's not like you have them stuck in a room in a workshop where they have to, in front of everybody, get up and walk out the door. It's also why I don't like webinars, because they can get up or be distracted by anything and you never know it. Okay. Masterclasses. This is the big stage. This is the one we think really, really are the most valuable. And that's why I'm going to finish on this one. And that is, your hook should tell them what they're going to get if they stick around to the end. If you shocked them enough with a bigger problem than they imagined and a solution that's going to blow their mind and exceed their expectations, and you've done it properly, they will stick around to the end. And that's what a masterclass is all about. There, you'll see. You can go back to last week's episode or workshop that's on YouTube, and you'll see we're actually creating documentaries or docu-series instead of doing the traditional Zoom masterclass, slide presentation, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. We've all done that. It feels like being back in college again. None of us want that. So we've started developing using AI, actual mini 6-minute documentary series. And then you get 6 different times to apply this framework, not just once, 6 miniature presentations where you get to apply this framework. So if you missed the hook on the first one, hopefully you'll get it right on the second one. You got 5 chances to do it right. and get them onto your calendar, which is ultimately what we're all looking for. Here's the point. Framework doesn't care about content. It cares about giving people and the algorithm what they want, the way they want it. Hook, story, offer. Adapts to everything you do in life. On Friday, as promised, I'll show you the exact plug and play blueprints. We'll give you a document that you can walk away with. We're going to actually create a piece of content for everybody who attends, but you do have to register. You can, I think it's in the chat or in the show notes, register. Everybody who shows up will get a framework piece of content. We'll write the script. It may not happen in real time, but we will do it after the fact for everybody who's in attendance and give you a free piece of content that you can use next week. There's the URL, Advisor Marketing Club / Friday coaching. Again, everybody in attendance is going to get a download. They'll get a copy of the video, and they'll get a piece of content that we're going to create for you so that we can show you the application of applying this framework. Okay. And here we go.
Rob, I uploaded my podcast to the Hollow Cloud. 0 listeners. Does this hook story offer thing even work in the future?
Sam, it works everywhere. Podcasts, workshops, live streams, even those VR masterclasses where your boss shows up as a giant floating head.
So my opener, welcome to another episode, 'Tis the Problem.
Yeah, even robots scroll past that. A hook has to make them stop. Something bold, not bedtime story vibes.
See? That's live streams. If you don't hook fast, they're gone, off watching Space Cats.
Doesn't matter the century. It's the same rules, just shinier tech.
And that's it for today's session on Hook, Story, and Offer Framework. Join us Friday if you want to apply it to your own social media marketing. We will help you do that. Remember, today was just an overview. The real breakdown happens this Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific. And we hope that you all join us because it's really going to be workshop style. We're going to be inviting people on stage and walking through the process. I can't wait to show you how to grab attention, build trust, and convert with confidence. So until then, stay curious, stay bold, and I'll see you not in the digital world, but at the masterclass on Friday.